one.
Okay,
You're on, brother.
Hey guys, just want to catch you up with what we did this morning. We're going to walk through some of the notes we took. Obviously, you're looking at the second supervision of peer supervisors and supporters session. So we started out by going around the table and trying to get some idea of some stories from the field, and everybody had a lot to share. And so we pulled out what I kind of tried to delineate was concerns and opportunities for growth that folks were experiencing in their field with their peers, with their clinical staff at their agencies, and then success and effective practice. So we've kind of got the little asterisk guy and then the little triangle. So we'll kind of start, we got started talking, we kind of realized that there is definitely some opportunity for increasing some of the education, access to information, and understanding of peer support services and how they work inside of different agencies and different environments. But that kind of goes upwards in the organizational standard or system. So organizations in clinical training and competency building as a concern and an opportunity for growth. So we kind of talked a little bit about like defining and exploring peer support services in a more comprehensive way, because we really realize that that's how they're being used in some areas, and then in others where there's a different kind of mix, you know, those services can be targeted towards the needs, right? So, but understanding the comprehensive use of peer support is something that we feel like organizations and clinical staff should have so that they can better integrate. So I'm always a big fan of kind of getting a handle on what recovery services are in general. I also have this kind of idea that a lot of helping professionals and other people who work with the public can be empowered by understanding that in fact they are probably already, and if they wish to be, could recognize themselves as providing a lot of recovery services. So a ton of people are recovery service providers. I think about like judges, police officers, you know, obviously nurses, our clinical staff, but anyone we're running into that's helping to support kind of the system of recovery along the entire continuum is a recovery service provider. So that's one way to kind of bring people in. That was kind of more my thing than the group, but they might back me on it. So yeah, kind of more about training, preparing, and preparing both the peer support staff, which we're doing a pretty decent job, but also the organization for the use of peer support practice within their organization, and the principles that helps kind of guide that use. So quickly over here, I'm going to try to speed it up, recapping the morning events. I'm not going to expect that you could possibly read some of my jargon here. So basically, some of the really important concerns and opportunities for growth that came up was a request for, you know, the guiding agency here, in this case DAODAS, for like a statement or some type of guide for some of these specific kind of practice standards. So you're talking about kind of working with HIPAA, working with this CFR 42 and peer support. That is not like an answer that any of us can just like hand out right away, but exploring that, helping some providers and agency folks kind of understand a little bit more of what boundaries they could use with phones, text messaging, community contact with mutual aid groups, things like that, social media usage, and transport. I left one blank because we know there's lots more. So that's something we're kind of seeing as an opportunity for growth and a concern to be looked at from kind of from the point of view of this agency. And like, so my role is trying to advocate for that and develop it. Also, I think out of that coming, like getting a handle on the relationship with what peer support documentation looks like, how that works with Medicaid, so that it's a little more seamless. I certainly want to see agencies be able to bill for as much Medicaid as they can, and certainly make the case for making the reimbursement higher. In this case, the more use a lot of times equals a better case for a higher rate. There was one time, Frankie told me, the rate was as high as $11 or $12. And part of the reason we couldn't keep it that way, and this is like lots of political reasons, lots of different reasons, but one of them that we couldn't argue against at that time was that people weren't using it. So it's really hard for Frankie to go up, and I know she's fought these battles for a long time, getting to know her over the past few months since I started, it's hard to go up there, and actually it's like right up there, it's a couple floors above us, and make the case that this service is worth this and even more because of how wonderfully it's being used in the state, when it's difficult to show that that's actually happening. So that's no one's in particular, there's no fault there, but it's an opportunity for growth. Like, we know we can get those higher rates that we all want. So we talked a little bit about creating some of these official guidelines, and then in the afternoon we're going to offer up some discussion about that and some tools that might help us develop some of that. Talked about the idea of developing this best practice manual as an opportunity for growth, for supervision of peer support, addressing the peer support writing reflex. We also see that in clinicians a lot in the beginning too, but that happening in the context of peer support, sometimes that can be kind of a problem clinically, sometimes it can be a priority when we're talking about peer support. So helping them kind of work through the writing reflex. And then setting professional boundaries and culture. So understanding hours, schedules, times management, and empowerment training for both clinical staff who work with PSS and the peer support themselves and the supervisors. And boundaries here is sort of